Hi everyone, welcome to UNESCO lecture series on basic genetics. In the previous episode, we learned that genetics is a science that allows us to understand heredity. This episode will explain Mendel's law of inheritance and Punnett square. Mendel's law of inheritance or Mendelian inheritance, also known as Mendelian genetics, is a set of principles that explain how hereditary traits such as the color of your eyes, the type of hair, ear, thumb, or the ability to roll tongue are passed from parents to their offspring or from generation to generation. The foundation of our understanding of heredity was laid by the work done in the 19th century by Gregor Johann Mendel, an Austrian monk and botanist who believed that heredity must be based on discrete units of inheritance, which we now call genes. His work, even though it was not highly acknowledged at his time, was then rediscovered by three independent scientists in the early 20th century, where Mendel's work on inheritance was recognized. He was then regarded as the father of genetics. His experiments on monohybrid and dihybrid crosses led to the basic principles of inheritance. A monohybrid cross, which is a genetic cross between two individuals that differ in a single trait or gene, while a genetic cross between two individuals that differ in two traits or genes simultaneously is known as a dihybrid cross. His work on these monohybrid and dihybrid crosses led to the inception of the three Mendel's laws of inheritance. The laws of inheritance, which are the law of dominance, the law of segregation, and the law of independent assortment. Mendel's experiments on plant hybridization was presented to the Brown Society for Natural Science in 1865, where he looked at 7 traits. His work on monohybrid cross revealed that the true breeding, for example, when all pea plants were crossed to dwarf plants, the filial one or the F1 generation was observed to be 100% tall plants. This work tells us that there is a dominant trait that is masking the recessive trait. This experiment led to the postulation of the law of dominance. But when these F1 generations were crossed with each other, he found the ratio between the tall to dwarf plants was always 3:1. The appearance of the recessive trait revealed the different forms of gene or trait, which we now call allele. The experiment revealed the dominant trait, which means that there are 2 alleles for tall and 2 alleles for dwarf plants. The trait that has 2 of the same alleles, big T, or small t, is called homozygous. And the trait that has 2 different alleles, such as big T, small t, is called heterozygous. Using the Punnett squares, we can predict the phenotype and the genotype ratios of the trait. So each gamete must have 1 allele. Therefore, the alleles must be segregated during meiosis. This finding led to the establishment of the law of segregation. When he performed a dihybrid cross, such as between round and yellow trait with wrinkled and green trait, all the F1 generation had all round and yellow traits. These are the dominant traits. Therefore, these are the dominant traits. Using the Punnett squares to predict all the possible combinations, he discovered that the phenotypes are in the ratio of 9:3 to 3:1. This observation confirms that the alleles separate independently and they are combined randomly. This finding led to the foundation of the law of independent assortment. In summary, Mendel's work on the garden peas laid the foundation of our understanding of heredity based on these 3 Mendel's laws of inheritance. The law of dominance states that there is a dominant trait masking the recessive trait. The law of segregation states that the alleles segregate during meiosis and each gamete contains one allele of the trait, whereas the law of independent assortment states that alleles for separate traits are passed independently. However, these basic principles of inheritance cannot explain all genetic phenomena. For example, the pink flower when we cross the red flower and the white flower. Therefore, there is a possibility that not all alleles are completely dominant or recessive, or some genes may have more than 2 alleles, or a gene may have multiple phenotypes. These unorthodox phenotypes of Mendelian inheritance will be explained in a future episode. With that, thank you for watching.